Watching the hilarious actor and comedian Will Ferrell, you'd assume he was the ultimate class clown at school, but this actually wasn't the case. Born John William Ferrell in Irvine, California, he was your typical suburban kid. Although his dad Lee did give the family a touch of showbiz, playing keyboards for the Righteous Brothers. Popular at school, he was a talented sportsman and kicker for the varsity football team. His interest in performing actually happened by accident when he was making school announcements over the PA system and discovered using silly voices made everybody laugh.
He is a comic genius, he really is. He's just one of the funniest guys I've ever met. Like, he's so funny. And I mean, a lot of stuff that never gets on camera is just genius, funny stuff he does just standing around.
Having witnessed the inconsistencies of his dad's career in showbiz, Will decided to study sports broadcasting at university and took an internship with a local cable news show. But after cracking a joke on air, it hit him like a thunderbolt. He didn't want to be a broadcaster, he wanted to be Chevy Chase.
I would describe Will as being a pure comic. He works out of simplicity. He knows how to stand there and merely react simply and be funny.
If Will starts to laugh, there's no way. What he's doing today, when just for a second, it was like a little speed bump. He kept it together, but he just started to, and then we all lost it. Because once he does, it's just, he's the king of just composure. But there's something so funny when he starts to laugh.
Building on his natural talent, he began to study acting by day and perform stand-up at night. In 1989, he joined the comedy group The Groundlings to develop his improvisational skills and quickly surprised everyone, going from a mild-mannered average guy to really crazy and hilarious in his performances.
Will saves up his comedy. A lot of comedians, it's like they're on all the time, they make you laugh like 30% of the times that they actually make jokes. Whereas Will isn't on all the time, he's a normal human being. And you know, when he makes a joke, it's pretty much always funny.
In 1995, his big break came when Saturday Night Live asked him to audition. Although extremely nervous, he was chosen over future co-star Steve Carell, and he starred on the show for the next 7 years.
You know, for a guy who does so much improvising, the thing that surprised me is that he comes to set completely prepared. He knows all of his lines. So he's not one of those actors who's improvising because he can't remember what he's supposed to say. He knows what he's supposed to say and then he just builds on it. And it's like genius, it's amazing, and very hard to keep a straight face around Will Ferrell.
Saturday Night Live was a fantastic launch pad for Will. Not only did it lead to a successful movie career, but it was also where he met his longtime creative partner, writer Adam McKay. One of their first collaborations was my favourite Will Ferrell movie, Anchorman.
I just think people love Will Ferrell, and they know that if he's doing something, worst case scenario, it's going to be funny, you know, and best case scenario could be sublime. So like everyone's like, it's worth it, it's Ferrell.
It's just a dream come true to make a movie like this because Will and Adam are just two of the nicest guys that you can work with, and they have a great time, and there's a great spirit on the set. They're not creating comedy from a place of pain. They're not tortured souls. They're kind of the odd Zen comedy people who just have a good time, and it becomes infectious and the work gets better.
Will is a great guy to work with because he's so funny, and this thing is, he's dynamite in this, right? He is Ron. I mean, it's a whole embodiment of a guy, right? And no one can hit that stroke like he can. It's just bam. He hits it out of the park every time, and it's just a treat to watch.
How can we forget that line? You stay classy, San Diego. But it was Will's improv background that has made him such a brave performer, unafraid to experiment, play a wide range of characters, and be funny off the cuff.
I'm more of a fan of playing comedy as real as possible, as opposed to trying to overtly be funny within the... So I don't necessarily think of it'd be funny if I bang my head on the door. If a set of circumstances, however, led to that, then that's what appeals to me.
Will has incorporated his love of sports into many of his comedies, including Talladega Nights, Semi-Pro and Blades of Glory, in which he plays a sex-addicted figure skater competing in the Olympics.
You know, when you pitch the idea that it's, you know, two guys having to skate together, that's already gets a laugh. So that was already funny, and you know, it had struck me as well as them that no one has really kind of done a comedy in this world of figure skating, and there's so much that's funny about it. Along with the fact that Chaz is like, such a fun character to play, and that he's kind of the bad boy of skating and so sexy. And I do sexy well.
It's mostly, in my experience, me sitting there watching Will kind of go to town and, making up stuff as he goes along and being funny, and me just trying to keep a straight face.
Starring in 2001 Zoolander marked Will's first inclusion in Hollywood's unofficial Frat Pack, a generation of top comic actors that love to work together, including Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Steve Carell, Jack Black, and Vince Vaughn.
It was a group of us who all, for the most part, knew each other, and we just had the best time kind of, obviously acting with each other, but entertaining ourselves.
When I look in his eyes, sometimes it takes all I can to not laugh, even though he's got this dead expression. He's just a super funny guy.
I think Will, everyone expects him to be funny, so everything he does is funny, because people just assume that he's hysterical, and he is. So you want to laugh before he even opens his mouth.
There's nothing more fun as a screenwriter than writing in the voice of Will Ferrell. You could be alone at breakfast and typing at the table and just start cracking up because you can picture him doing it. He can do things other people just can't do. You can write a really simple scene, and he can really, he's going to take it to the next level.
And he did take it to the next level in 2009, making his Broadway debut in the highly challenging 75-minute one-man comedy show, You're Welcome, America, bringing back his very popular Saturday Night Live impersonation of former President George W. Bush. Despite Will playing Bush as bumbling and dim-witted, the effect was likeable and somewhat affectionate. Even George Bush reportedly loved it, asking Will to appear with him at various engagements, which he declined. It seems you can't help but like the guy.
Will's a sweetie pie, he's just a cool dude, and he's just good. He's just great at what he does.
Will's comic success and box office clout has allowed him to branch out from his usual oddball persona. In 2006's Stranger Than Fiction, he plays an IRS auditor. While funny in parts, it also deals with deeper questions about art and life, comedy and tragedy, and Will enjoyed the challenge.
It was something that I fit into as opposed to having to self-generate it, which was so nice to be able to kind of already have it there and just trust in the script and the words and the character and know that it's an amazing director who's going to put it all together.
I was surprised by Will because you expect someone who somehow radiates the very qualities that endears him to the public, but he doesn't really. He's rather shy, introverted, quiet, and then just this humor kind of sneaks out under the door.
At least for me, it was definitely one of the best scripts I've ever read, and it was it was one of those projects that everyone in Hollywood was kind of clamoring to try to be a part of, and so to actually see it realized and get to go through the whole process was amazing.
Will has always embraced a challenge. It's hard to believe it took him 5 years to overcome stage fright on Saturday Night Live. On the other hand, he has never been scared to strip on camera.
I wanted to be able to run naked through the streets of Montrose. So once I found a role that satisfied that, I knew I was okay.
The hardest thing for me so far, the actress, is Will Ferrell is the funniest person I've ever met in my whole life. He's so committed and deadpan, just dedicated to who he is, that you cannot not laugh at him. And yesterday we were doing a scene in the psychiatrist's office, and he's going on and on about, having fantasies about other women and all these things, and I'm supposed to be very upset. But I actually cracked up in a couple of the takes because every little gesture that he has is just, hilarious.
While Will Ferrell is most famous for playing offbeat, not so bright characters, he always gives them a smart undercurrent of pop culture parody, making them appeal not only to his core demographic of young male fans, but also to a broader audience. Unlike many comics that are on all the time, Will is unusually reserved and well-adjusted, so normal in person that it's easy to forget how talented he is.
He's a nice, quiet, You know, almost like he's intimidated. But I'll tell you what, he's got more guts than anybody. I'll tell you, he does stuff. I mean, that's a pretty great gift to have that kind of guts, you know, to just let it go. He'll do anything. I mean, he goes full bore, which is, you know, it's a pretty brave thing, you know. I mean, I've seen some stuff he done and I couldn't believe I was watching it.
He doesn't feel the need to be funny every minute of the day. He's not a show-off, you know, as a comic. He doesn't have that insane insecurity that makes him have to be the center of attention. But just when you least expect it, he'll say something, and 20 minutes later, you're still trying to stop laughing, you know. And that actually happened on the first rehearsal. And when I met him, and he was just very sweet and quiet, and then he was working on one line, and we were sort of improvising, and I completely forgot that I was supposed to be working and professional and acting because I just couldn't stop laughing. And so he's really delicious to be around in every way because he's a good guy and he's also a huge talent.
The star of countless hilarious box office hits, one thing is clear. Will Ferrell must have been born with an extra big funny bone. Stay tuned to Star Picks for all of the movies you know and the actors you love. Broadcasting glorious high definition with 5.1 surround sound where available. For more of the best in entertainment news, check out your Movie Network channels. It's altogether better, on screen and at mnc.tv.